This is Igbo area
Hello. Some people speak Igbo and they say they are not Igbos. The title of this documentary is Those Who Say They Are Not Igbos. Those who say they are not Igbo. In recent years, there have been attempts on the part of some Igbo communities to deny their identity as Ndi Igbo. Classical examples are the Ika Igbos of Abo in Delta State and the Ikwerre Igbo of Port Harcourt, Rivers State. The Nigerian Biafran War, among other accidents in history, has the blame of inflicting mere anarchy upon the people of Igbo in general, and it appears that since the end of the war, the center can no longer hold. Port Harcourt, up to 1967, had a majority of Igbo population. When the war broke out on 6th July 1967, as a result of Ojukwu's declaration on May 30 that same year of the Republic of Biafra, Port Harcourt, because of its importance in the federal government economy, became a prime target. Recently, deliberate attempts are made by some Igbo communities in Rivers State to change their names, both of towns and persons. Naturally, the Igbos dwelling in Port Harcourt, as well as in other parts of the country, had to return to their home communities. When the war ended on 12th January 1970 with the subsequent declaration of no victor, no vanquish, the military government under Yakubu Gowon announced the 3 R's: rehabilitation, reconstruction, and reconciliation. Notwithstanding Gowon's post-war philosophy based on the 3 R's, the Igbo refugees that fled from Port Harcourt returned thither only to discover that Port Harcourt indigents, including Ikwerre Igbos, seized their landed property and taxed them abandoned properties. Attempts to recover these properties only deepened hostility. In the opinion of the victimized Igbos of central communities, such acts, especially by their Port Harcourt Igbo-speaking brethren, came to be regarded as void of brotherly sympathy. In the process of the metamorphosis, the Ikwerre of Port Harcourt came to be marginalized psychologically, culturally, and politically by other Igbos. Soon, cultural and political marginalization widened to attract tribal self-marginalization. Recently, deliberate attempts are made by some Igbo communities in Rivers State to change their names, both of towns and persons, all in an effort to be free from Igbo identity. Thus, it is surprising to hear that Obi-Igbo is now called Oyibo, Umweme noun Rumweme, Umuamase noun Rumuamase, Umuokoro noun called Rumuokoro, etc. It should be observed, however, that the word Omo is a general Igbo language suffix which indicates that a community shares one progeny or descended from one great ancestor with the others. The other hand, Rumu, is found nowhere in Igbo language structure. Rumu, therefore, is a deliberate corruption attempt. Influenced with this disaffectionate attitude towards their stock of origin, today it is not difficult for a modern man or woman from some of these self-marginalizing Igbos to deny that he or she is not an Igbo. Most of them now feel piqued when called Igbo. Ask which tribe he belongs to, he does not hesitate to say, "I am from Port Harcourt in Rivers State," or Ikwerre. But this sounds absurd and as foolish as saying that I am from Isuofia, Oka, or Onisha. It does not make much sense either to say that I am from Owerri, Aba, Umuahia, Enugu, Ibadan, Benin City, or Ekpoma. These are mere civil and commercial centers that sprang up in much recent times as the spirit of urbanization impined upon people to live together and enjoy common facilities. Port Harcourt, for instance, was not founded until 1912, but the Port Harcourt Igbos have existed in the land long before this. There was nothing like Enugu before 1911. Yet the people of the land were there already for generations past. Aba, Umuahia, Umuabia, and Owerri were not heard of until 1922. Yet the Igbos have for long lived in these areas with the tribal identity and racial consciousness of Ndigbo. Even Onitsha of the 17th century did not exist before the people that owned the geographical area. The Yoruba, of course, were already known as Yoruba and enjoyed common mythological concept of Oduduwa progeny before the word Ibadan came to mean a Yoruba settlement or colony in 1830. The Benis were known as Edo before Benin became a city, etc. Thus, it is surprising to hear that Obibo is now called Oyibo, Umweme, noun Rumweme, Umuamase, noun Rumuamase, Umuokoro, noun called Rumuokoro, etc. Nigeria. According to Edo Broadcasting Service, EBS fact file has at least 250 clearly identified tribes. These tribes each belong to distinct linguistic, though sometimes mutually identical. Each belong to distinct linguistic class or speech community. The people of Abo, Kwale, Obiaruku, Ahoada, etc. in Delta State are thus neither safe nor wise to deny their Igbo tribal trunk. One believes that their tribal disassociation is psychological rather than real. But if they insist it is real, then they must be able to identify themselves with some tribe elsewhere. The safest thing to do is to regard the Civil War and incidents like that as external circumstances brought about by accident in history. The Civil War bias and all its attendant evil like soap bubbles must be allowed to disappear and give way to proper cultural and political reintegration. Agana Asere Ana shall once more be regarded by all Igbo as a uniting and forgiving philosophy. Thus, there exists no more ground of justification for any original Igbo stock or community to disassociate from its tribal heritage and consciousness. Igbo heterogeneity ought to be an asset, not a liability. To deny tribal link because of mere circumstantial anarchy is cultural suicide of no little futuristic consequences. Affection must be restored so that the whole Igbo should see itself as one body of original stock, capable of presenting one strong front when threatened by any external forces. To achieve this, F.C. Ogbaru gave a reason which this author believes is an encouragement to the people of Ika Abo in particular and other ill-affectioned Igbos in general. Ogbaru's reason is linguistic one. He said, "It is significant to note that while the Ika can communicate with other Igbo with some of whom they are separated by as much as 250 miles, the Ika can never communicate with the Ishan, their nearest neighbors, who are a few miles apart except through Ishan. While the Ika does not have to learn the other dialect of Igbo to communicate with the Igbo man, an Ika person does not have to learn the other dialect of the Igbo to communicate with the Igbo man. All he does, and this is usually mutual, is adjust. No amount of adjustment short of learning Ishan can make an Ika communicate with Ishan without using Ishari. The argument Ogbaru seeks to buttress hinged on the fact that the Ika people, and indeed all that marginalize themselves from their Igbo originality because of one bias or the other, have no cultural or linguistic justification to do so. The language they speak betrays them indivisibly as tribal colonies of the most egalitarian, individualistic, and enterprising peoples of the world known as Igbo. When an Ika wants to give his king identity, he will not call him Oba or Oni, just like the Edo Yoruba might ascribe to theirs respectively. But rather, the Ika chooses to call him Obi of Abo, the Obi of Abo. Notwithstanding that Edo of ancient had serious monarchical influence over the Ika, they still retain their original monarchical identity. Furthermore, when an Ika wants to tell you goodbye, he says Ijeoma like every other Igbo. When he talks about his native doctor, he does not call him Babalawo to suggest that he is a Yoruba, but he calls him Dibia, just like the Igbo Dibia or Dibia. It is significant to note that while the Ika can communicate with other Igbo people, with some of whom they are separated by as much as 250 miles, the Ika can never communicate with the Asian, their nearest neighbors, as few miles apart except through Asian. An Ika does not call his son Osaro to suggest that he is Edo, but he calls him Ika and Ikwerre, unconsciously reminding the child that he has common tribal identity with other Igbo communities, where the Ikechukwu and Okechukwu are common names for males. For those who go as far as changing their names and other tribal identity, we caution that such is a height of absurdity. Mike Ekunno wrote in Sunday Vanguard, October 5, 1997, page 8, Igbo land is full of the Wawa, Ijekoebe, Agbenu, Ika Igbo, Nwonye Onisha, etc. It is here that the saying becomes germane that only the man who willfully opts out of the train claims he was forced out. Onye chụpụrụ onwe n'ụgbọ ọsị na ụgbọ eruteghị. Ika Ikwerre, unu ji aka unu achụpụ onwe unu n'ụgbọ. The calls of Igbo Kwenu should, however, begin to re-echo from Nsukka, Arochukwu, Abakaliki ends, and let the response resound in the streets of Ikwerre Port Harcourt, quarters of Ahada, and intersections of Kwa and Abo districts. In any random picking of Igbos from group of other Nigerians, the physical characteristics that distinguish mainland Igbos are also boldly visible on his rivers and delta brethren. The same goes for their language, culture, work ethic, value system, and social institutions. The vices, whether real or imagined, with which the mainland Igbo is associated are also donned by other Igbo diaspora in Port Harcourt, Ahada, Abo, and Kwale districts. Thus, ethnographically and geographically, they are unavoidably recognized as Igbo of the Igbos. Philippians 3:5. Thanks for listening to Igbo Area TV. Please, we want to really discuss this topic. Please spread this video. We Igbos need to unite again. The Delta Igbos are purely Igbos. The Port Harcourt Igbos are Igbos. We speak same languages. The name of where we live existed after we existed. We existed before the name of places we live. Don't deny yourself the fact that you are Igbo. Please subscribe to our channel for more updates. God bless you.